My youngest left on a Saturday morning in September, and what I expected to feel wasn't relief or sadness or pride. I expected some version of all three. I'd been warned about that much. What I did not expect, what no one said a single word to me about, was that I would stand in the hallway after that car pulled away and have absolutely no idea who I was anymore. Not what I was going to do with myself, not how I was going to fill the hours. I mean something deeper than that, something I didn't even have a word for. I didn't know what the face in the mirror was for, if it wasn't for being someone's mother. That's what nobody told me, and that's what I want to talk about today. For most of my adult life, I heard the same thing about the empty nest. From friends who'd been through it, from articles, from well-meaning people at parties. And the story they all told was this: when the last one leaves, you finally get your life back. Like the children were something that had been borrowed from your real life. Like there was a self waiting in a storage unit somewhere, preserved and ready to be retrieved. I believed that. Or I told myself I believed it. I looked forward to the quiet. I made plans. I had a list of things I was going to do when. And then Saturday morning came, and the car pulled away, and I stood in the hallway. And the quiet wasn't a relief. It wasn't freedom. It was the sound of a job ending that I never wanted to end. What I found, and what I want to share with you, are 4 things that no one tells you about that moment. 4 things I wish someone had said to me before I thought something was wrong with me for feeling exactly what I felt. Lesson 1. The grief is real, even when the pride is real. Both things are completely true at the same time. I thought grief meant something had gone wrong. I thought if I was grieving my daughter's departure, I must not be happy for her, must not be trusting her, must not be ready for this, must not have done enough to prepare myself. That's the lie they don't call a lie. The idea that pride and grief are opposites, that you should feel one or the other, and the one you're supposed to feel is pride. I walked into her room 2 days after she left. I wasn't going to do anything. I told myself I was just checking something. And I stood in the doorway, and I saw the indentation in her pillow, just the shape of her head, still there, and I couldn't make myself go smooth it out. I stood there for a long time, longer than I'm going to tell you. And I understood something then that I had not understood before. I wasn't grieving because something went wrong. I was grieving because something went right. Because I loved her enough that her absence had weight. Because 20 years of the most important work of my life had just walked out the door with a car full of bedding and a plant I'd told her not to kill. You can be proud and heartbroken at the same time. Not as a contradiction, as proof that you did the job the right way. If you're standing in a doorway right now, looking at a room that used to have someone in it, that grief is not a problem with you. That grief is the shape of love in an empty space. Here's a hard one. You didn't lose a role, you lost an identity, and those are not the same thing. People say, you're not just a mom, you're still you. You have so much to offer. They mean well. They're also not quite saying the thing. A role is something you perform. An identity is something you are. And for a long time, maybe 20 years, maybe more, being needed every day by a specific person at a specific time in a specific way wasn't just something you did. It was the organizing principle of your entire life. Your schedule, your decisions, your body, your sleep, your attention. All of it was arranged around that person's existence and survival and growth. When that ends, you don't lose a role. You lose the structure of the self. I remember standing in the grocery store about 3 weeks after she left. I had a cart and a list, normal errand, and I stopped in the cereal aisle. She had a cereal she liked, the one I always bought without thinking about it, and I stood there looking at the box and I thought, who am I shopping for now? And the question was bigger than it sounded, because I'd been shopping for her for 19 years. And before I was shopping for her, I was shopping for the one before her. And before that, I was shopping for all of them at once. I hadn't shopped for myself, as the primary person in my own life, for longer than I could count. That's not a small thing to reckon with. That's not something a weekend retreat fixes. That is a genuine, honest-to-God identity reconstruction. And calling it anything less, calling it a transition, a phase, a season, is a kindness that doesn't actually help. You're not in a transition. You're figuring out who you are after the most defining chapter of your life just ended. Give that the weight it deserves. The silence has a texture, and until you learn to read it, it's going to feel like something is wrong. Everyone says they want quiet. Everyone in the middle of the chaos thinks quiet is the reward waiting on the other side. I thought that too. What they don't tell you is that the quiet is not neutral. It isn't peaceful by default. In the beginning, in the first weeks especially, the quiet is loud in a specific way. It has the texture of an absence. You can feel the shape of who used to be in it. I'd sit at the kitchen table in the morning with my coffee. No backpacks, no one asked me anything. No one needs to be anywhere. And the coffee went cold. Every morning for about 2 weeks, the coffee went cold. Because I'd made the coffee on autopilot, made it the way I always made it, in the middle of something, for a morning that had momentum and urgency and people in it. And then I sat down and there was nothing to respond to, nowhere to be pulled, just me and the cooling cup and the sound of a house that used to be full. Now, I want to be honest here. The quiet does change. It becomes something different with time. I won't lie to you about the other side of it, but I also won't rush you to it, because here's what I needed someone to say to me in those first weeks. You're allowed to find the quiet hard. You don't have to call it peace before it is peace. The silence you're sitting in right now is not the silence you'll be sitting in 6 months from now. It is allowed to be uncomfortable while it becomes what it's going to become. And the last one, you don't have to know what comes next, and pretending you do is the thing that will actually delay finding out. Every single person who talked to me about the empty nest, bless them, they meant well, had a suggestion, a hobby, a trip, a project, a reinvention. What are you going to do now? This is your time. What do you want? As if I'd had that question on pause for 20 years, and all I needed was someone to press play. I didn't know what I wanted. I had been wanting things on behalf of other people for so long that I had no idea what wanting something for myself even felt like anymore. That's not a complaint. That's not a tragedy. That's just what happens when you do the job fully. One evening, I sat on the back steps at dusk. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't journaling or meditating or making a vision board or deciding on my second act. I was just sitting there, watching the yard go dark. The dog was next to me. The neighbor's sprinklers came on. That was the whole event. And I noticed, for maybe the first time since she'd left, that I wasn't performing. I wasn't being productive. I wasn't trying to feel better. I was just there, and nothing fell apart. That sounds small, I know it sounds small, but it wasn't small to me, because what I found in that moment was this. I didn't need to have the answer. I needed to be allowed to not have the answer for a while. I needed to sit in the question without the pressure to perform my way into a resolution. Your job right now is not to know what comes next. Your job right now is to be honest about where you are. The next thing will find you when you stop pretending you already have it figured out. Here's what I want to leave you with. The story you were told, that the empty nest is freedom, that you get your life back, that this is your time, That story isn't wrong, but it's only half the story, and it's the second half. The first half is the part they skip. The first half looks like a pillow indentation you can't bring yourself to smooth out. It looks like a box of cereal in the grocery store that stops you cold. It looks like coffee going cold. It looks like not knowing for a while what your own face is for. That is not the half where something went wrong. That is the half where everything you gave is being tallied. That's the shape of 20 years of love in the process of finding a new form. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not failing to adjust. You are in the first half of a story that has a second half. And the second half doesn't require you to perform your way into it. It will come when it comes. The only thing required right now, the only actual work there is to do, is to let yourself feel the first half fully. Don't name it freedom before it is. Don't call it peace before it becomes peace. Just let it be what it is. The house is quiet. The child is grown. The love isn't gone. It just changed address, and you are still here. That's enough for right now. If any of this matched something you've been carrying around without a name for it, I'm glad you found it here. There's more to talk about. I'll be here.